Hello, welcome to this Level 3 wrap-up video. My name is Allie with A. Marie Speaks, and this is, as titled, a wrap-up of Level 3 workings and understandings within my Energetic System series. So, if you are new here, this is a video which probably should be watched after, you've seen Level 1 and 2. Could be relevant information, welcome to watch. All viewers are welcome. But just know that this is just a very tip of the iceberg look at a specific topic, which will be the inner systems, your inner systems specifically. So, yeah, this is a very segmented piece of a whole, which I encourage you to take time in discovering the rest of that whole. So please don't just watch this as a standalone video. Right, so for those of us who are a part of this sort of sequential course I have been putting together of these videos, you will be familiar already with the process at hand. Now, Level 3 has really been two sections of working. The inner systems themselves, our inner systems, are best looked at through these two different areas. The processes themselves that make up the systems, and then the overall polarity, atmosphere that those processes all create together when they're working and functioning. So there's the whole view of the essential sort of image that is you, the appearance that becomes the totality of you, the whole system. And of course, conversely, every system, right? There's the whole that we define as the singular entity. And in this example, it will be the self. And so you're the whole. And Level 3, we're diving into the one segment of the inner systems of you. Now, the sections are very helpful in looking at what's happening as organizing the discoveries that we do. But doing the discoveries is a whole process in itself, right? So there's many working pieces and many different angles that through Level 3 we've looked at already. We have used the torus functioning tool as guidelines to look at the breakdown of the system, us as a whole. And by that, we have three different pieces to always look for, right? We have external appearance, we have the internal workings of the system, and then we have the third, the Mobius flow, the lemniscatic spirit, the essence of the work, the doing part of the being. And so when we look at the self, we use this as guidelines, right? And we look at our external systems, our internal systems, and the flow of the whole. And as we dive into just the inner system for Level 3, we've used this again as a guideline. This is the beauty and simplicity of organic design, right? Of intelligent design. That everything is sort of fractal. All these general templates can always be used as guiding points for us to see things more clearly at the next level down and a little deeper. And so we get a little deeper on Level 3 with just the inner system. And just the inner system itself also functions as a whole when we choose to look at it that way. And so we have the external internal workings, we have the inner internal workings, and we have the spirit flow between those two inner and external workings of the inner systems. A little confusing, but also this is why we use the templates as guide points, so we don't get lost, so it isn't confusing. So we can always sort of revert back to what is known and use those as like a crutch or a pathway, through. And so when we do this for just the inner system, we are looking, and I talked about this, so that's mostly like what we're talking about with processes, right? And when we look at our inner system as a process, we can again use the three-part model to look at the system as a whole, the inner system as a whole. And that looks like mind, body, and spirit, right? And I went through these about the layers of consciousness and the bosses that inhabit those worlds, and how each one of those layers, sorry, I get an eyelash, within us really is a whole world of itself. It has its own structure, its own purposes, its own layer of working. It has its own language. It has its own accent, right? And we did a bit of exploring between each of the three to determine and separate them out. Another thing that's big with level 3 here, and that I hope when I have completed this with the videos and the course book or workbook or whatever I'm going to call it to go along with it, there'll be a lot of time for internal introspection at this time, where you do assessments with those bosses. And I really hope that people who are enjoying these videos and who come to watch are really taking time out on their own to do that great work for themselves, because that's really what it's all about. That's really what I want to inspire. And in order to get the most out of level 4, it's so important that we have taken some time to actually talk to bosses in your own life and have conversations and learn the languages, because nobody can do this inner work for you. It's impossible. You can have guides, you can have guidelines and structuring, directions, instructions, whatever you want to look at that as. Those things are wonderful. But it's you who has to dive in. It's you who has to learn the language. It's you who has to make the interpretations and the integration of all the messages and all the data, right? And that's the great responsibility, and also the great gift and mystery and purpose for me, for many of us, of life and of this journey here, beingness. And so really level 3 is also to inspire the sovereign right to do this great discovering work within us. And like I said, with those workbooks, I will have some breakdowns of some of the meditation points that I've already offered, and some place to journal maybe about it, some prompt questions, a little bit more details and things too as well. So, but feel free to create that kind of stuff on your own if you like that kind of stuff. It's very helpful for a lot of people to write out things, to see it on paper, or to remember it later, to have a year later be able to go back to some sort of, ascension journal, and see how far you've really come. So yeah, these things are all important tools and practices and routines that I hope people will be getting into, and that's what I hope to inspire really with these systems. The entire reason of looking at how systems are functioning is so that we can get in there and assess them and help them to flow better and to have better experiences and better lives. So the process points of mind, body, and spirit within the whole of the inner system, each of those represent internal, external, and spirit as well. Each one of them you can dive into as a whole fractal world of their own and see these echoed reflections of the 3 workings, again, internal, external, and the flow. And if that interests you, go back and check those videos out. If you are kind of just joining now, know that that's where we've been. The second half of level 3, and more importantly, once you have had conversations and sort of had these introspective moments, created communication and flow, and felt that kind of work for yourself, then into section 2 of level 3 becomes witnessing and observing, assessing the polarities, trying to grab snapshot appearances and get some assessments. I don't like to, or I want to really encourage people to understand the constant change that it is. There is a great point in sort of the academia, scientific realm of working where they say to you about the electron cloud, that it goes so fast around it that you could never stop and pinpoint it. There can't be ever a picture of it, because it's basically always in every spot because it moves so fast. And so they just draw like a circle kind of around and just say that that's it, you know. That's what polarity really is, right? It's a charge, and it is. That is sort of an honest assessment to just leave it like that. You know, as much as I like to sort of see faults in their descriptions and explanations over on that side of the fence, sometimes like that's all right, you know, that's kind of true. For us, for these ever-changing beings of light energy, alchemists that we are, creator beings, right? That is very true. But when we want to, or when we want to assess what we're doing, like we want to with level 3, or even as we get into 4, now we're going to be talking about external exchanges, right? And that's really where polarity comes into main stage, is in external exchanges, because you have to have a whole representation in order to interact with other, right? And this is a 3-part fold again, because there is the presentation that you believe is your creation, the inner image of your whole. There's the external presentation that others see that you have no control over. They each see the external appearance they choose to see, and that's the external workings. And then there's the truth of it. There's the combination of both of those, which is the real truth, the spirit. And that has to do with both those inner workings and the external. And it's helpful just as a great reminder to try to hold a placeholder of infinite possibility, potentiality, you know, not to really try to tag yourself down and say, oh, am I service to others? Am I service to self? What is my alignment? What is my charge? Am I negatively charged? Am I positively charged? Because it's a flux and a flow, and all systems inside of you are balancing one another with positive and negative, and there's plenty of negative and plenty of positive making you up all the time. And it's not fair to yourself, it's not fair to others, or the great mystery of life, to really try to just spend all your time taking snapshots and trying to force it to present itself as one way. That's kind of like, I love this metaphor and I've said it many times, but it's like at a school, the teacher trying to create that middle grade, the median common learning curve or whatever, and giving that and expecting all the students to align to it, when in fact like a median grade, or the average of your class, comes after all students have put in their grades, put in their work. You find the median through the data input, through each piece, having a value that is equal to all other pieces that are offered. And then you see the average. It's created. The mainstream flow is created by all the points, but we have a very inverted view that shows the B plus is the average that everyone should be having. That's the average student, and everybody has to sort of meet that marker or surpass it or not, and you are defined by that marker. Even if every kid in the class is a C student, or every kid in the class is an A student, but yeah, so that's the point that's the same thing with polarity and your polarity. So look at yourself as the great teacher of all the students, or as the boss of all your systems, right? You are the head, the CEO of this whole thing, of you and all your systems. And you want to be as accepting and fair and honest as you can for all parts, because you want the overall best for yourself. If you start making a false median to follow, and it's external from you, and it doesn't match your highest good, it doesn't match your potentiality range, then it isn't average potentiality for you. It's a marker that's set to meet by other people's expectations. and maybe it's below or above your, your capacity. You'll never know, and you'll always be wrong when you've externally set that marker. If instead we internally find them and we find our average and we just present ourselves as we are, as our data set point, it's much more comfortable, it's much more free-flowing to the whole, it is much more accepting to the whole, right? And that's really what we want to be doing, and that's what I want to be inspiring through the second section of level 3, where we talk about overall polarity charge collection. Again, I will reiterate that we do this work internally first so that we build those muscles. We have stronger working when we go to do things externally with others out there, when it's really hard, you know. In conclusion for level 3, right, also I talked about the natural organic alignment of the tool, of us, of the human being, and how we have an organic natural setting of a whole that has a great balancing work inside of it to help us grow as beings and ascend on our path and our journey back to one. Which, if you like the sounds of that and you follow through to that and your systems align with that, you'll have a positively aligned system and overall charge. And that includes the negatively charged inner system. And I really went over that, about the differences between a negatively charged system that is a balancing act that helps with the overall positive polarity, versus having a truly negatively aligned system, which is needing an overall negative charge at the end of the day. That is its balancing work is not set on highest good and one truth. Instead, its balancing work is set on the great lie of one life only, and of survival, and that you are limited, and that you only have X amount of time, energy, and life within you. And if you don't gather more, or you don't do with everything you have right now, that's the end of it. That assumptions and laws and beliefs creates a different flow. It inverts your system, and it creates a positively aligned inner system, which causes ripple effect to your external service. And depending on what type of kind of external service you think you want to be involved in, and the wonky ways that we turn distortions in when we have inversions inside of us with this, it can create a lot of misuse and a lot of negative, bad scenarios, problems, trauma within your life, because you're allowing your shadow and your inner systems to divert from the real work, and just kind of stagnate and seek shadow, seek sameness and comfort and settling, entropy, this kind of dumbing down, the slowing down, instead of just going with the flow and seeking ascension and flying. The tool can't really get there and get good momentum and allow you to fly in ascension in the negative overall position, in the inverted, inorganic flow, which I talked a lot about in that last video. So if you're interested in that and you want to know the differences between the two and stuff, and you missed that video, definitely that will be in the description, so you can check it there. The last thing I really wanted to kind of put the cover on here for my wrap-up video, and this is getting a little long, is just the overall importance of accepting that you have both light and shadow within you, both positive and negative working systems within you, and that both have great purpose and great roles, and they do things that the other cannot really. That's the purpose of opposites. And to assess those differences with the least amount of emotion tied to worth, tied to anything like good or bad in your mind morality, is really the foundation of observation that we should be getting into when we're looking at inner systems. And with this whole level 3 quest to understand polarity and who we are and how we define our systems. At the end of the day, our being, our thoughts, our mind, the essence of us, is more powerful than anything. And we do create the reality we experience, from the very, very, very micro to the absolute macro. And when you really hold the reins of that and can get into conscious awareness, learn the language between the systems and how to get in between there, you will find beautiful working for yourself. So I really hope that you take the time to do that within level 3 before we head into 4. Which 4, we're going to really flip the lens and talk about the external service and the external world, others, and what external systems really look like. So I hope you'll join me next time for that. Thank you so much for tuning in for this quick 20-minute wrap-up. I was hoping for a 10-minute, but it's turned into 20. That's okay. So I will check you next time. In the meantime, always feel free to find me over on Telegram, on my website directly, amariespeaks.com, or you can find my podcast over on Spotify. I hope you have a beautiful day or evening, wherever in the world you are, and I will talk to you next time.